Imagine building something so powerful that the government literally had to break it apart just to give the rest of the world a fighting chance. That is not a story pulled from fiction. That is the true story of John D. Rockefeller, a man who grew up with almost nothing and ended up controlling an empire worth more than any human being in American history. Some called him a genius. Others called him a monster. Honestly, they were probably both right. So how did one man go from hauling goods on a farm to owning nearly the entire oil industry? Let's find out. Rockefeller was born in 1839 in upstate New York. His father was a traveling salesman, charming, slippery, and not always on the right side of the law. His mother was the opposite, strict, deeply religious, and fiercely disciplined. That combination of street cunning and iron self-control worked its way into Rockefeller's bones at an early age. By his teenage years, he was already tracking every single cent he earned in a personal ledger, not because he had much, but because he believed money was something you could master if you paid close enough attention. That belief would carry him further than almost any American before or since. At 16, Rockefeller landed his first real job as an assistant bookkeeper in Cleveland, Ohio. He was sharp, reliable, and quietly relentless. A few years later, he struck out on his own and started a trading business with a partner. He was good at it. Then, in 1859, oil was struck in Pennsylvania. Rockefeller, still in his early 20s, recognized an opportunity that most people around him completely missed. In 1870, he co-founded Standard Oil alongside his brother William and a handful of partners. The oil industry at the time was pure chaos. Prices swung wildly. Companies collapsed overnight. Nobody trusted the market. Rockefeller stepped in with a plan that was clear, calculated, and utterly ruthless. He would bring order by buying out the competition. And if they refused to sell, he slashed prices until they had no choice but to come to the table. He also worked out secret rebate deals with railroads, reduced shipping rates for Standard Oil that its rivals simply could not access. It wasn't illegal at the time, but it was devastating. By the early 1880s, Standard Oil controlled roughly 90% of all oil refining in the United States. 90% of an entire nation's supply in barely a decade. That kind of dominance doesn't stay quiet for long. Investigative journalist Ida Tarbell spent years digging into Standard Oil's methods and published a series of exposés that stunned the country. The story spread, public pressure mounted, Congress moved. In 1911, the U.S. Supreme Court ordered Standard Oil broken into 34 separate companies under antitrust law. Here is the twist almost nobody talks about. Rockefeller owned shares in every single one of those new companies. When their stock values climbed after the breakup, his personal fortune actually grew. The ruling that was meant to cut him down ended up making him richer. But there is another side to this story, one that surprises a lot of people. Rockefeller gave away over $500 million during his lifetime. He founded the University of Chicago. He established what would become Rockefeller University. His foundation funded medical research that helped eliminate hookworm and yellow fever in parts of the world that desperately needed it. You may have come across the viral video Jeff Bezos snaps at reporter over tough questions on worker mistreatment and found yourself wondering whether today's billionaires genuinely care about anything beyond their bottom line. It is a fair question, and people were asking the very same thing about Rockefeller more than a century ago. Was the generosity real, or was it just reputation management? Perhaps it was both. The truth, as always, is somewhere in between. Rockefeller lived to 97 years old. He outlived nearly every critic who ever came after him. By the time he died in 1937, he had given away more than he had kept for himself. Adjusted for today's dollars, his peak wealth is estimated between $300 and $400 billion. No American, not Carnegie, not Gates, not Bezos, has ever come close. Was he a villain? A visionary? He was probably both. A man shaped by an era where power had very few rules and ambition had absolutely no ceiling. The story of John D. Rockefeller is not just about oil or money. It is about what happens when one person decides they simply will not accept the limits the world has set for them, for better or for worse. His decisions reshaped a nation, redefined modern business, and left behind institutions that still stand today. If this story sparked something in you, do us a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. More stories like this one are coming, and you do not want to miss them. Built from belief.